Hi, I'm Yia Vang, and I'm with Union Kitchen and Chef Camp, and today we're doing Isaan Laab, or sometimes you'll see it pronounced as Laab or Larb, but we pronounce it as Laab. It's a minced meat dish. Isaan is a northern part of Thailand, and so it's a different style of Laab they do. So the first thing you guys want to do is read the recipe carefully through and take all the produce and make sure that you wash them all very clean. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the carrots. So you just take your peeler and we'll just peel our carrots real quick. And you wanna make carrot sticks out of this, and sometimes I know with carrots it's a little intimidating if you don't have a little slicing machine. But what we're gonna do is you just peel your carrots, and then you can always work in what I call small chunks. So you don't need to cut the whole carrot, just cut the carrot right in half, and we take the ends off. And then the thing I always tell people is carrots are round, so it moves on you. All you gotta do is square it, and by squaring it, you just cut off a little side of the edge so that it doesn't rock on you. Cut it on the bias. So you're gonna make these big, really nice, flat little cuts. Once you have this bias cut, you're gonna lay them out. And what I usually do is I start out with a few at a time. Remember, this isn't a race, so you can do this in batches. And then you'll just hold down, and you'll just julienne them. So you just cut them through. So there's a little trick that I always do with the green onions is I cut them to two sections. So I use the ends as, so they're bigger, they have more flavor in it, they have a little bite in it, so I use the end to kind of use it when we're cooking, when we're cooking in the beginning. You'll see we'll use that first, and then we'll use the green part right at the end because we want to just put it right there at the end. We want it fresh, and we don't want to overcook that. So take off the tips. Again, just for kind of to get more surface here, I cut it on a bias. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work with lemongrass. Now, a lot of people are very intimidated by lemongrass, and I usually break down lemongrass to two sections. There's parts of lemongrass that you can use for stock, and there's part that you can actually use to put in your food to eat. So the part that we're going to use for stock is the top. It's a little woodier, it's a little stockier, so harder. So it's the top part here, and then I would say the last 2 inches around right there. So you'll just cut that right in half there. You'll cut that there. And what you can do is you can, what I usually do with these lemongrass is I'll put it in a plastic bag and throw it in the freezer so you can freeze it, and so you can use it for stock. Now what we have is like this middle part, and sometimes there's this there's like loose leaves that will fall out, and you can again just use that for stock. So in this section is actually the best section to use. It's very tender. And I'll show you guys how to chop this up. Also lemongrass, another thing to do if you break it a little bit and you smell it, it smells kind of like Fruit Loops. So that's kind of a fun little fact there. Always work in sections. So if you have a big long stalk of lemongrass like I just showed you there, just cut it in half. It's easier to work in section. And so again, what I'll do is I'll just chop this real thin, because what we're going to do is we're going to cook this in with the meat, and you don't want big chunks of lemongrass in there. Now we got these small bits of lemongrass, and you just run your knife through it real quick. Grab a couple cloves of garlic, and what I like doing the garlic, since we're going to chop it, is just put your knife on it, smash it down, because it just makes it easier to chop it up. And then just run your knife through it real quick. And remember, like when you're chopping this up, you want kind of fine little diced pieces, because you are going to be eating this with the beef, and you just don't want big chunks of garlic in there. So with the other half of the other garlic, we're going to just thinly slice them real quick. I'm going to grab these beautiful, beautiful Thai chilies. What I do is I just hold them from the end here, the tip here, and then you just run your knife through it real quick and nice. Just throw that right in there with the garlic and the lemongrass. And so for the herbs, what we'll do is just grab a bowl. You just grab a nice bowl. You'll take your culantro, cilantro, basil, and mint. And what you do is I just like picking them right off the stalk. You don't want to chop them or anything, because this can go in last. So you just throw a few of that. You want to just, pull them apart a little bit. I love Thai basil. I love that smell of Thai basil. So throw a little bit of the Thai basil in there, and get some of your cilantro here. Throw that in there, and then just have this ready at the end because you're gonna toss this right into the dish at the end, right when it comes off. We have our mustard green, and to prepare our mustard green, sometimes the mustard green on the bottom has a stalk that's kind of a little tougher, so we just cut that up. Now this might look like a lot of mustard green to you guys, but once we cook it, it will shrink down, and I love mustard green. Growing up in a Hmong household, mustard green was everywhere all the time, and we eat it with everything. So just do a real rough chop of it. We saved that green onion tops. We saved the tops. And so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna chop up some. And this will go right in there with all the cilantro, culantro, Thai basil, and mint. You can take your lime. Just make sure your lime is cut in half. What I usually do before I cut my lime is I just rolled it, and just so that you kind of get all the juices ready to go. And now your mise en place is ready. So our next step is we're gonna make the rice. Rice is super simple to make. So we have 1 cup of rice and 1 1/4 cup of water. So before we put the rice in, what I usually do is I do a triple wash of the rice. So you get some hot water, and you just put the rice in a bowl, and you just wash it out, and then you drain it, wash it out again, and drain it. Then the reason why we do a triple wash is we want to get all that starch out of the rice. So when we cook it, the rice isn't too clumpy and too stick together. So we really want it. You want to really get that good wash out of the rice. So we'll just get a pot going here. Throw your water right in the pot. We'll get that going, and once that water is ready in there, what you do is you just throw your rice in, and so our rice has already been pre-washed. Hold it down, and then when the rice gets to when it starts boiling, you're going to turn it down to low, put a cover on it, and let it sit for about 15-20 minutes, and just take a peek at it around that time. So we're going to move on to the actual cooking of the beef for the Isaan Laab. So we're going to just turn your pan on, just get your skillet going, and you want it hot. We'll throw a little bit of oil in here. You want to put the scallion bottoms in first. So we'll start sizzling there. And then we're going to add a little bit of the carrots right in. So you'll start with that first. And once you kind of hear that sizzling, so when you're cooking, you're always using all your senses. Once you hear that cooking or that sizzling, you add a little salt in there, and a little pepper. Once that sizzling kind of starts going, you're going to add, then that's when you add your lemongrass, your garlic, and your peppers. So once the vegetables and the aromatics are getting toasty, we're going to just take the meat, I'm going to put it right in there. So the next step is we're going to put the Isaan Laab mix in there. And just, there you go. And then always we want to get some salt in there too, and a little pepper. And you let that cook until all the red and the pink disappears out of the beef. Throw a little bit of the fish sauce in there. It's gonna really round out that flavor. So another trick when you're making your Isaan Laab is when you start cooking, there's gonna be a lot of liquid on the bottom as the meat starts cooking down, and you wanna cook away all that liquid. That moisture is cooked out, and then we just turn it right off. And then right when you turn it off, that's when you throw in the little rice flour. So the next step we're gonna do is we're gonna be working on the mustard greens. So just get a pan out and just throw a little oil in there. A little about a teaspoon-ish. So we got the oil hot, ready to go here, and we're gonna throw in the greens. So it's gonna sizzle a little bit, so kind of be very careful. And it'll cook down. And then when you have that green in there, you're gonna grab some of your chopped garlic, throw your garlic in there, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. And that green will cook down a little bit. If you want, we can add a little bit more oil in there. Right when you see it kind of wilty right there, that's where you want to stop. And you can actually just turn it off and set it to the side. Once the rice is done cooking, you just want to take like a spoon or a fork, and you just want to fluff that rice out. So we're just going to take that rice, we're going to fluff it up a little bit. And that should be good and ready to go. And so remember, we had our herbs here, our culantro, cilantro, Thai basil, and mint, and our green onions. So we're just gonna actually take that and we're gonna add that in right at the end. Remember, we wanna keep it at the end so then we can still have that fresh, bright pop to it. And just squeeze your lime in there. Make sure you wanna get that nice lime juice in there. And then you're gonna just toss it up. And that bright green color, and I think it's just a really beautiful color. And then so we'll take our rice. You just take a little bit of rice, throw it on the side, grab our greens, and just grab your greens here and just toss it right to the side. Right there. We'll take our Isaan Laab and we'll just kind of douse it right in the center. Right here. So here we have it, our Isaan Laab dish. Hope you enjoy it.